You're watching Morning at NTV.
Good morning and welcome if you're just joining us on Morning at NTV this 31st day of March 2022. If you've been with us, many thanks for staying put. We now go into our Kickstarter discussion this morning, and we are discussing how Congo violence will affect business between the two countries, and of course the latest in terms of developments in as far as trade between Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo is concerned. Joining us on the show this morning is Ritah Atukwasa, Honorable Member of Parliament for Mbarara City. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And many thanks for joining us too, Daniel Birungi, the Executive Director of the Uganda Manufacturers Association. Let me throw this to you, Mr. Daniel Birungi, first and foremost. When people hear Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, not much comes into mind away from the refugee influx. But we do understand at this point in time, the business infrastructure, the prospects are really huge. Take us through what the picture is right now in terms of trade between Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Thank you very much, Chris. Good morning, viewers. The Democratic Republic of Congo is, for us as manufacturers and for Uganda, I think a moment in history. Their entry into East Africa is a moment in history that we have to take advantage of. For the simple reason that we are not even tapping 4% of the possibilities of what we could do with that country. Last year, 2021, by December, we had exported $664 million worth of products. It was our biggest trading partner, actually. It surpassed Kenya after a long time. But if you look at the products we took, the percentage related to the products that Congo imported from elsewhere, $664 million, they imported about $6.6 billion from around the world. In the product space, cement and building materials was big. Plastics was a big export. Food items and processed food items were a big item. And for me, if to illustrate the scope of possibility, is that we exported $1.2 million worth of poultry meat into the DRC. And guess how much they imported? $128 million of poultry meat. Wow. Poultry is chicken,
chicken and,
which we have in plenty. So if that for me is the illustration of what's possible with the DRC. The advantage we have 700 kilometers of border from Arua all the way down to Kisoro that we can use to enter this country. We have a catchment area of North Kivu and Ituri province where people always get their things through Uganda. And I think as Uganda, our positioning should be that we don't become a trade route only for products coming from Mombasa, but rather become the source of products entering this country.
Well, that's the 4% actually caught my attention. It's a very grim statistic to be able. We are not even tapping 4% of what we can in Congo, especially given the fact that Congo is where the world goes for most of the minerals that do go into the manufacture of things like phones, computers, and stuff like that. But we shall be delving a little bit deeper into the exact nature of this trade and how it can be expanded. On the political front, since independence, 1962, why are we still at this point where we cannot tap into these opportunities in a country like the Democratic Republic of Congo? Could it be that perhaps at the political front, the initiatives have not been forthcoming and perhaps are just gaining steam of recent?
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. Talking about DRC right now, and especially the potential of the economic benefit it brings to Uganda, is not just timely, but I think needs action oriented for us to be able to tap. Of course, politically we have history, which I think following our Excellency the President and all the other presidents in the region, the Great Lakes, trying to focus and amend our relations beyond colonial borders, but also trying to understand the reasons why people do come together for economic benefits.
That's right.
Of course, looking at the European Union and other regional blocs, the SADC and what they have benefited. So I think politically we are on the right path to try and have Congo already joining the East African community, to be able to together tussle out to have a muscle so that we can harness the economic benefits of each country, but not failing to mention that Uganda, in relating to Congo, in relating to South Sudan, we would want to see ourselves getting the greater benefit out of it. Okay. But what remains is to have Congo be able to domesticate these protocols, the common market, the customs union, and for us to see that as the East African bloc, we minimize the blockages that we have to be able to do trade. For a record, since the Ugandan army went into Congo just December, the exportations have doubled. They have more than doubled, even surpassing what we get from South Sudan. South Sudan standing at $39.7 million, and right now Congo standing at $74.31 million in this very short period. And as my friend here said from Uma, that speaks volumes. But then the question is, yes, we have made a move. Yes, they have been welcomed to the protocol. Even when we are looking forward to the domestication, on our side, what is it we need to prepare? We have what to learn from. Yes, Uganda, we are at the forefront in terms of peace building, in terms of working with our neighbors to make sure that the peace we have enjoyed also goes to them.
That's right.
But looking at the best example of South Sudan, where have we not done well? One, in terms of security for the traders that go into the country to trade. Because we want money, but we also want our sons and daughters back when they are alive. That is one. Number two, security for them, but also security for their property. Right now in Parliament, it is a question I think every 2 weeks that doesn't miss on the floor.
That's right.
On the issue of compensation for the traders who went into South Sudan and then war, even for the people who are still dying, who are traders. So we need to be very candid about it, that in DRC, that does not repeat itself.
Okay.
The other pinching issue is about banking facilities and other amenities that could actually give Ugandans an opportunity to extend services. Talk about banking. There have been many delegations of MPs, of committees about the illegal border, in South Sudan. So we don't have a bank yet as Uganda. We do not. Reasons why, maybe we'll explore on that. Now that all this, you imagine from December to date, exports have more than doubled. What does that call for? For banks, so that when the traders go there, they trade. They don't have to carry cash. They don't have to use other agencies that are non-Ugandan to bring back their money home.
Okay.
So if we could have government swinging it to facilitate that process, especially banking is very crucial. The road network, we are very happy that the government has taken it seriously. Of course, it had mixed feelings, but sometimes you make sacrifices for what you want.
Okay.
Stretching, like he was mentioning, the people in Western Nigeria don't trade in Kampala. They actually trade the other side. Southwestern Uganda, they trade the other side. So it would be in good faith that when the infrastructure is set up, we are ready to be able to harness all that to our benefit.
Just a moment. You preempt something that I wanted to ask the Executive Director at Uganda Manufacturers Association. What are the figures right now in terms of how many traders are engaging traders in the Democratic Republic of Congo? What is the amount of goods in exact figures, away from the fact that we are only tapping less than 4% of what the potential is? What are the goods that we're taking into the Democratic Republic of Congo? Can you paint us this picture or give us the map so that we can understand? Are we taking a soap? Are we taking whatever it is that we are exporting?
Okay. First of all, the structure of trade with the DRC is such that the majority of trade with the country happens with their traders coming into our country to purchase these products.
Less of us going
for the reasons that the Honorable MP has mentioned.
That's right.
That security remains a paramount consideration for anyone trying to get into this country. Now, what are the figures currently? The Honorable has mentioned the $74 million worth of trade for January, just January of this year. To put that into perspective, last year the total trade was $664 million, and that explains the possibilities. That if in January,
in just 1 month we do 74.
Year on year, if you compare, the previous year we had done roughly around $25 million. This has grown to 74 informal trade. If you add the informal, it's about 20. Which is about 94 or nearly $100 million. It means we can close the year with $1.2 billion worth of trade with the DRC, which is unprecedented. Now, under products, one is cement. And widely, I would say building materials. Because in there we would have your cement, you would have your steel products, your iron sheets, and all these other kinds of items. That would be one element.
That's right.
The second element would be our consumables, cooking oil, soap, because there's a demand.
In fact, one time somebody was saying the Mukwano products seem to be littered all over Goma and other cities within the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yes, we actually have a captive market, I would say. And it's because...
What is a captive market?
It's our own market. We have direct access to it. No one else has direct access to it.
All right, there
because of the 700 kilometers that I talked about. Now we have cooking oil and other products. Then we have food items, processed food items. These would be your flour, these would be your salt and related items. And then we have plastics also as a key input. Plastics in terms of plastic jerry cans, plastic containers, home utensils and the like. And this is just the beginning of the possibilities, I would say. Because like I've said, there is so much that is wrong in a country near us, importing milk from Belgium when we are right next to
We have a lot of milk here in Uganda, and we should be able to.
The Honorable will tell you that her people are crying out for a market for some of these products. And I think for me, her message resonates that we need to do the right things now, not later.
Not later.
Part of those, we've talked about insecurity, and we've talked about the fact that our traders are still looking for compensation for the amounts that were lost in South Sudan. And we've been on record as saying, let us have an export guarantee insurance scheme. All we need is for government to set the framework.
That's right.
We have an insurance regulatory agency, authority, that is able to then drive this down to the insurance companies. And we will pay.
That's right.
We're not saying
you have the money.
Yes, we will pay for the insurance.
No doubt.
But because of that insurance, a trader here, a manufacturer here, gets the confidence that if they enter the country, a volatile country, be it South Sudan, be it DRC, be it wherever, that if they get a loss, they'll come back and the insurance will compensate them. That's a big game changer.
Yeah, big game
as long as that's there. She's talked about the infrastructure around access. The hard infrastructure speaks to roads. We are very, very grateful that government is looking at the roads and is doing them. And we are saying along with the hard infrastructure, we also need to talk about soft infrastructure.
That's right.
Soft infrastructure in this case is banking services. We're talking about insurance services. We're talking about supermarkets. The biggest win of our neighbors to the east has been in their ability to export uchumi, nakumat. Because when you go to those supermarkets, of course there is a national pride element that requires that they stock a portion of Kenyan products.
Kenyan products, that's right.
We need concerted efforts to support our standard supermarkets, our capital shoppers, and whatever, to get into these countries. We need concerted effort to support Postbank and Centenary and other local banks to also get into the Congolese market and all these other markets, because then it's easy. If I'm making an order for product, I don't have to come to Kampala. I just talk to the person in Congo and say, look, my brother, I need this. And he will connect with Kampala and get it done. And so there are a lot of strategic imperatives that we need to take into consideration.
That's very interesting. Honorable, how far are we in terms of pushing the wheels that are supposed to take care of the challenges that Mr. Birungi alludes to? you sit on the Trade and the Tourism Committee. Are these pertinent aspects that are being considered, or it is something that you need to engage further or push a little bit more than you're actually doing right now?
These are pertinent issues, and for sure they have been raised over a period of time. Like I did when I was opening up my discussion, that
That's
this
right.
time we need action. We need action visibly. We must be seen to do something.
In other words, there is already a framework.
There
and
is
it's all about
yes,
action.
there is a framework. We badly need DRC, and we have fought for it. The frontline president, the UPDF went in there, and we even had a supplementary budget for 556 billion.
That's right.
And that is how that trade has been able to increase. So we need to follow where our money is, and then we are able to bring back. So I think now it needs a lot of a political will. Like we see what happened. You were telling me a story. What is it that Shinata did to enable KCB go into these countries?
That's
Maybe this is what we need to see the president do, and the ED for Post Bank do. Possibly, do they need to have discussions with Centenary? I pride in Centenary because it is our local bank, so that we see them going to show the way on the steps. How do they get to DRC? Is it on the agenda or it is not? And then as a country, we push them to put it on the agenda. Post Bank for sure. You know it. Even here, they could have the list of the customers. But when it is a Ugandan bank, can we then take them where the service is in their need, so that they are able to act? So to be honest, it needs the government, especially the executive, the president, like he has made it sure Congo has happened in the ESC, like we will work to make sure the protocols are signed. Can he equally be a champion?
We shall be digging deeper into the new dispensation within the East African community, especially after the signing on by the Democratic Republic of Congo. But allow me to stay on the issue of political will. Does it bring about, I needed to put it in this way, there is political will and then there is political intent. Uganda has been mired in so many things regarding the Democratic Republic of Congo, so much so that it's arguable that the traders and the private sector thinks trading in the Congo or whatever goes on there is a political issue that has been left to politicians. Timber, gold, and these other minerals. When you look at the trajectory of trade within those in those products, you see there is a massive political hand. That could be a debate for another day. But the political will to trade or to enhance Uganda's ability to trade in the Congo, does it mirror the political intent?
For me, what I would think is, I'm glad UMA is here, but I would want to see the likes of more business entities coming together to have discussions, candid discussions with government.
That's right.
UMA is here. They easily get to the table. Where is Kasita? He's here telling us about supermarkets, about...
You wield a lot of influence.
Exactly.
Enormous influence.
Yes, where is Kasita? Where are the congregations or associations of supermarket owners? Where are they? You know, it is one gesture to extend a hand, but it is another for somebody to hold the hand and get out of the ditch with it. So we would want them to come forward, so that they learn from UMA, but also to explore possibilities. Where is it they want to act?
Well,
so that
we are lucky the ED is here. The Honourable Member of Parliament sits on the Committee for Trade and Tourism, and she's literally lamenting, come forward. UMA, Kasita, and all these other business entities. Take us through what are the initiatives in place. Do we have a concerted effort to bring the traders, to ask the traders, if you're, for example, you're into poultry business, like you say, there's a lot of market for poultry meat. Are you telling them to go to the Congo? And if they say, we are ready, what is the next step?
Yes, and thank you. And I think the Honourable knows and has said that there is a very good relationship between ourselves and the committee.
Yeah, sure.
But to your question around why are these people not coming to the table? They're probably not coming to the table because they do not know what's available. We have agencies in this country that are mandated to provide information on export opportunities.
Uganda Investment Authority?
Export Promotions Board, among others.
Even Uganda Manufacturers Association.
And each of these entities has a role to play. We've done our part on the part of manufacturing. We're highlighting the opportunities. We're highlighting the challenges. And we're not stopping there. we're saying these are the solutions we would like. Like I've talked about the insurance guarantee scheme, like I've talked about banking. And we are encouraging our sister organizations under the umbrella of PSFU to also come out and say, look, as teachers, for example, we know that Congo reversed Uganda's education system.
That's right.
And there's an opportunity here to externalize teachers to actually go teach and not to go and clean people's houses.
That's right.
There's an opportunity here to get our lawyers on board to understand the French system. Because remember, we are a common law country, and
based on the UK,
and French, and DRC is a civil law country. There's that conflict.
Yeah.
How do we bring ourselves closer together? That's a discussion that has to be had. We need, as a country, to organize ourselves. Because I was telling the Honorable that the biggest disservice we will do to future generations if we tell them that this entry happened, that we got DRC on board, we exported peace, and then created a big highway from Malaba to Ituri province or North Kivu for transit of goods, rather than for goods coming from Uganda. Because with each transit item, with each item that doesn't come from Uganda, we're exporting jobs. We are actually exporting jobs. And we need to urgently, as a country, fast-track the process. What have we seen from our neighbors? We've seen that as early as December last year, a delegation of 200 business people left Nairobi, went to Kinshasa, went to North Kivu, went to Ituri. Yeah, in fact, led by the government.
I can just interject on that and just offer some perspective. The Equity Bank, the CEO was speaking of the fact that their branch in the Democratic Republic of Congo was threatening to become the biggest because of the new rollout that is happening. And I think the banks in Uganda, I'll be coming back to you very shortly to ask that particular question. Why? Is it a deliberate move to ensure that perhaps local banks don't do this, or are we just naturally weak in terms of doing business that we are able to simply sit and look at some of these opportunities that are going on? The building of roads by the UPDF that was launched last year has helped open up pockets that were not available. I don't know whether these roads, of exactly where they pass and if they're actually going through the business hubs where there is a market that's ready for some of the Uganda's products. We could be building roads that are 330 kilometers away from areas that you consider captive markets.
Yes, first of all, the roads have had a significant impact because of the clear numbers from January.
That's right.
So it's clear that those roads are helping us. Our push is that there is need to do a little more because we feel that we need to get to Kisangani. And why is Kisangani important? Kisangani is 700 kilometers from our border.
From the border, yeah.
Why is Kisangani important? Because Kisangani is the jumping off point for entry onto the River Congo.
Yeah.
At that point, you have access to 1,500 kilometers of the River Congo, all the way to Kinshasa, and actually all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, because you cross through Kinshasa and go all the way to the port city. Yeah. At that point, you also have access to Congo-Brazzaville, or the Republic of Congo. You have access to Bangui in the Central African Republic. It opens up a wide area. And I think those discussions are happening now to see what more can be done in that direction.
Okay.
Relatedly, investment in ships within that country. It can be a joint
ships
venture.
on the River Congo.
On the River Congo, because they have tiny boats mostly.
Yeah, mostly
and
tiny
if
boats.
we're evacuating large quantities of goods, that is going to be necessary. In the interim as well, as the UPDF stabilizes the country, there is scope for support convoys, security support convoys to our trucks. We did this in South Sudan, and the reason why there was a spike in numbers at the beginning in South Sudan was that the UPDF was moving along with business. But overarching, I think for me, is that the issue of hand walking. International trade is not a case of I pack up my suitcase and show up in the capital.
Show up in the capital, yeah.
It's a factor of government holding our hands and taking us.
Well,
And all we need is the introduction.
We have a very prominent member of the government, being a parliamentary, a member of parliament rather, and particularly sitting on the Committee for Trade and Tourism. You speak very passionately about the banking sector and our inability to be able to make inroads into the Democratic Republic of Congo. I know there are a lot of position papers that we've heard of. There are also initiatives that are being pushed by various members of parliament. What is the most practical solution to getting all the things together and ensuring that we do not find ourselves on the morning show 3 months or 6 months from now lamenting about the same thing?
For me, one, I still have my faith in UMA and all these organized businesses. One, to seek for government attention and space.
Yeah.
Best practices, they call them best practices because if emulated, they walk you a mile. If we see today that this is what Kenya did, had this delegation to go to the Congo, this is what they did, can we be able through UMA? And I think for me it is a quick hanging fruit for you.
Yeah.
UMA is very influential, no doubt.
No doubt.
Can they organize their house and talk to government with their demands and action? This is what we want to see one by one. Then from there, we have the duty to follow and see when they spoke to government, did government act? Where is it we need to come in? But as a legislator, you can talk this much. But if the person to make the action happen is not moving, then you remain where you are. I am not a business person. I won't say I will lead a business delegation, no. But probably is to push government and working with and I think they are ready. Look at how much employment opportunities would be doing for this country. Every government is happy. Every government is happy to see its people prosper. So for me, that would be one takeaway. That with my brother here, with my committee chairman, even the door of the speaker is very open. Where you need help, we will be able to do that. So that even us, we see opportunities. If it is a matter of a delegation, not just to go, but if there is something they have seen that if they go, they will be able to fix, we do that happen.
As
if it is about the banking sector, yes.
As a politician, and particularly for Mbarara City, you know the business landscape within the region, Western Uganda, and how it plays into the Congo trade. I don't know how much the current escalation of violence in Bunagana and the fact that there are some elements within DR Congo that are threatening what is ideally the peace that is required to be able to conduct business smoothly. Is it affecting business in that side of the country? Do you know of any particular interventions that are being made or required to be done that you can be part of, or anybody who can be part of that to ensure that we don't again the escalation of the violence, but we could lose a lot more?
Of course, certainly, like we're saying, violence is never a thriving place for business to grow.
That's right.
But that notwithstanding, already when you say affecting business, usually it is both positive and negative.
Yeah.
When you look at the influx of the people that have come in through Bunagana, already there are disruptions in the community activities. But with them also come opportunities for trade. But there will also be strains in service delivery, which we are already seeing. So what we would implore is not to say we want more refugees to come. No, we would want actually the UPDF.
Awkward. Yeah.
UPDF and the entire region, the ICGR actors, to stabilize that area so that these people can go back and we serve them from where they are. Because with the situation of COVID and all that, already, if Minister of Health, I think they are already trying to put pointers to make sure they contain if there are any new strands they have come with, or if they are, you know, usually these come with all sorts of cholera, dysentery, measles outbreaks.
So
certainly the best way possible.
You seem to be itching with a submission, but on top of that submission, I would like you to be to give us what could be a parting shot on the new dispensation of the entry of the Democratic Republic of Congo into the East African community. There is something that is already going on across the African continent, the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. I don't know how this plays in. The audience doesn't know. We're going to have to depend on you right now to give us that perspective so that we can also know how best we can be of help in disseminating this information.
Okay, quickly on the African Continental Free Trade Area, perhaps, is that the building blocks of the Continental Free Trade Area are the regional blocks.
Regional blocks.
So any strengthening of the EAC is a strengthening of the Continental Free Trade Area because it builds on the discussions that we're already having at regional level.
That's right.
Now, the entry of DRC, for me, bigger picture really, is this is an extra 100 million people.
It's one hell of a vast country.
In context, that's 2.5 times what we have in Uganda.
Sure.
The second figure I'll put out there is that you need about 10 countries, the equivalent size of Uganda, to make up the land mass of the DRC.
Okay.
The third piece I'll put out there is that they have 30% of arable land, and only 10% is utilized. The opportunities are immense in terms of access to raw materials, but also in terms of trade. We're on the right track with securitization.
That's right.
But as we export peace, our appeal is that all effort must be made to export goods.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the discussion can go on for a day, but I'm sure the platforms will provide an excellent opportunity to be able to escalate the discussion. And of course, all interventions that are being done on part of the political front, but of course also on the business front. We do hope everything runs as it's supposed to do, so that we can be able to get the best out of it. Honorable Ritah Atukwasa, many thanks for joining us, and thanks to you too, Executive Director, Uganda Manufacturers Association, Daniel Birungi, for those very engaging and insightful perspectives on our business. Time now for a short break. Morning at 10 TV continues right after.